Hello there. So in this video I am going to talk about IMBD spoilers problem. So basically this problem is like a very challenging problem. So the main task of is to block these reviews. So as you can see, this is a reviews of animal movie, and like IMBD is blocking this review some with some machine learning model. So the main problem is a data set. So this data set was scrapped in 2018, and like we are not sure that at that time IMBD was using this kind of reinforcement learning, so we are not sure about it. Like, so all this data set is under the question whether it's gonna help us or not. So this is a data set which I downloaded from there, and it was scrapped up to 2018, and at that time there were no transformers and there was nothing, right? So like the model they were might be using IMBD at that time, it might be like very basic model as compared to the new state of the art. So these are this is a review data set, and is spoiler is a label. So if it's a spoiler, it is gonna be true, and if it's not a spoiler, it is gonna be a false. So there is very less confidence on these labels, like because they are predicted using simple model. And Bahubali will do a bhangra in the open fields of Mahushmati, and Bhalal they will play a drum. Then Bahubali will leave for Canada, and there he will marry Devsena. Let's check whether this is spoiler or not. So you can see like this fake review, it doesn't correlate it with the text which have been retrieved, right? It doesn't correlate with the synopsis and summary of Bahubali. So this is not a spoiler. We are also not sure that this kind of reinforcement learning logs were there at that time or not. So simply like we can't rely on the reviews, like because they were scrapped long time ago. So now just we have to use this plot synopsis and summary more rather than the reviews. So it's not a easy problem. It is a not a easy problem. And second thing is this kind of reinforcement learning thing, like it is quite subjective. Like some of the people might found that particular review as a spoiler, some of might not find that as a spoiler. So it's very unstable to rely on this reinforcement learning. So it's better to devise something new. So let's talk about retrieval augmented generation using Langchain. So as we all know, large language models are the new world order, right? So these large language models, they have some cutoff date, like they have been trained up to the data up to particular date. For example, ChatGPT is being trained up to 2022 December month, right? So any new events which are occurring like Cricket World Cup, it is out of distribution for ChatGPT or large language model. So to make a LLM work with out of distribution data, so there is a technique called retrieval augmented generation. So retrieval augmented generation works on text retrieval. So basically whenever like a large query is being made into the LLM, so it will retrieve the text which is related to the Cricket World Cup. So that text will be retrieved, and like LLM will use this knowledge to answer this question. Like as Australia won the Cricket World Cup recently, so ChatGPT is like not aware of that. So if we give the Wikipedia access to ChatGPT, so it can answer who won the Cricket World Cup. So this is a main idea of retrieval augmented generation. So retrieval augmented generation uses vector databases. So vector databases are like really important. So how vector databases function is like I'm going to explain into using this diagram. So he is my favorite actor. So he's a Punjabi actor. His name is Gugu Gill. So he lives a flamboyant lifestyle. So like Gugu Gill has 2 horses in 4-acre farmhouse, and he is very rich and owns a Thar and Fortuner car, right? So this is a sentence. So whenever I just send this sentence into natural language understanding model, which is encoder based models which are based on self attention, so what it will do is it will embed this text into some vector embedding. That vector embedding is dumped into vector database, and like also the indexes are being done into particular of the particular document. So this document has a particular embedding like this. Also these points in the vector space like this document, they are also indexed. So indexes are also given. So these indexes like make sure that during the retrieval the time complexity is being reduced from a quadratic to into like very less in case of linear or less than linear. So indexes are really important. So that's where the vector databases come into picture. So for example, this is like our vector database, and we give a query to a vector database like explain me about the lifestyle of Google into this vector database. Like suppose this is a that this document, so it will like this query will be nearby this. So it will like measure the some angular distance between this, and it will find the nearest neighbor. So this will be the nearest neighbor, and this nearest neighbor will be like outputted. So this is how the vector databases function. So vector databases are the core crux of retrieval augmented generation. Let's explain the architecture of the application which I'm trying to build. Basically I'm trying to build a like Chrome extension, so that Google Chrome extension is going to block the reviews on IMBD website. Basically our task is to block the spoiler reviews, that's all. So to block the spoiler reviews, I am scraping the summary and synopsis of the particular movie. So using this thing, I am going to embed this into vector databases and perform the retrieval augmented generation, and using that I am gonna like perform the classification. So it's very simple. So I have to scrap the summaries and synopsis of the particular movie, and I have to predict whether that particular review is a spoiler or not. So it is so simple task. Now let's suppose there is a stupid user named Binod is like a fan of spoiling the user experience, and he is like posting spoilers after watching a particular movie. Suppose Binod post a review before like posting the review, making it a public. So this review will be sent to GPT 3.5. So GPT 3.5 will retrieve the text from the IMBD website in the real time. So that is synopsis of the movie and summary of the movie. Basically summary is a short description of the movie, and synopsis is like a detailed description. So synopsis is more important while performing a retrieval augmented generation. And chat GPT will retrieve the text. Oh sorry, it's not chat GPT, it's GPT 3.5 will retrieve the text, and it will predict whether that is a spoiler or not, and it will also give an explanation. So this is IMBD spoiler dataset, and it is scrapped from IMBD website 5 years ago at dinosaurs times. Like it is too old dataset. So let's view this dataset into Jupyter Notebook. So this is a reviews dataset which is like scrapped from IMBD website. So I took this dataset from the Kaggle. So this dataset has labels true, is it a spoiler or not, but it was scrapped 5 years ago at dinosaurs time. So these labels are not true labels. So they are being generated by some NLP model of IMBD. So these labels are not specific, like they are not true labels. So they, if you are gonna train the model on this data set like solely on reviews, so you are gonna have the data lake, and your model will fail to converge as a simple mean model. So the training on the reviews is like not sensible. So what I have done is like I have like used the plot synopsis and plots summary from this IMBD spoiler dataset, and in the real time too I will be scraping the data in the real time. If it's not gonna be present over here in this dataset, I am gonna scrap it, because we have only 1500 movies in this dataset. So in the real time I am gonna scrap too. So I'm not gonna use the reviews like the past reviews to detect whether that is spoiler or not, to like protect our model from data leak. And like, so that is why I'm gonna use only synopsis and the summary. And if the synopsis and the summary are not present in the vector database, so I am gonna scrap it. So this is like a very like a very interesting use case. So now let's go to the code. Oh, this is my Jupyter notebook. So I'm gonna use Langchain and Facebook's FAISS vector database to perform retrieval augmented generation, and I am able to identify whether the particular review is a spoiler or not. So this is my OpenAI key. Please do not copy it because it's not gonna work. You have to buy your own OpenAI key. And one thing more important, as I was earlier saying, that training the model based on the review is gonna be very stupid thing. So because that model was that reviews, they are being labeled using IMBD's model, which was 5 years old. And if you are gonna train the model on the pseudo labels, then it's gonna have data leak, and the model is your model is gonna be very trivial, I would say. Basically, it's not wise to train the model on the reviews. So that is why I am going to use plot synopsis and the summary from the this CSV, which I downloaded from the Kaggle, to initialize the vector database. So I am just taking this and this. I'm not taking anything else, because that's not as important. And one thing which is more important, our large language models GPTs, they have limited context window. So they have limited context window up to 4,000 or 10,000 tokens, but I am using the model which has a context window up to 4,000 tokens. So then these synopses, they are too long, so they have almost 10,000 or 8,000 tokens. So I'm gonna split the synopsis into chunks. So I'm gonna split the synopsis into thousand long chunks. Till there are 14,000 33 for documents in the synopsis array, and similarly there are 1940 in the summary array, because summaries are normally shorter. So that is why. And now I am just using OpenAI embeddings, which are NLU based embedding, and basically encoder based embedding. So I'm gonna use this, and using NLU based embeddings, I'm gonna store it into vector database. Vector database gonna index it and do every sort of thing, so that a retrieval is very fast in the real time. It's basically even less than linear. But if we are just doing using k nearest neighbor, then it's a quadratic. So this is the advantage of vector database. So retrieval is very less than even the linear. So yeah, this is Munna Bhai MBBS. So I have given a query to a synopsis vector database, that badmash means a bandit, goon. Or sometimes our mothers used to say me, you are a badmash, in an endearing way. Whenever you act naughty, our mother used to say asa badmash. So whenever you query a badmash into with this vector database, so it's retrieves the text related to Munna Bhai MBBS movie. So Munna Bhai MBBS was a movie related to a goon who in a pretty endearing way. The goon movie is related to a goon, so it retrieved the text related to Munna Bhai MBBS. It's a comedy movie basically. And then I have initialized the prompt. So I'm gonna use this prompt to perform the classification and of the reviews, and also it will follow. It will be followed by the explanation. So this is a large language model which I have initialized, and basically this is a decoder based model, because I am just generating the new text. So decoder based model is required. So and then synopsis and summary vector databases, they need to be initialized as a retriever. So as a Langchain retriever, I have initialized them. And then for the real time scrapping, I have written two functions. So in this function, whenever we input a movie ID or movie ID, it's gonna scrap the summary and synopsis. So this is gonna scrap the synopsis, and this is gonna scrap the summary, and this function is gonna add that into vector database. So, and if we run this cell, and it's gonna scrap the summary of animal movie, which is quite correct, I think. And this is a synopsis of Animal movie is the worst movie I ever watched. I wish I have watched the review of that movie, the spoiler of that movie, and I never went for that movie. It was 3 hours waste. So like this I am adding this manually into my vector database. So I am doing this manually to explain you, right? So after running this cell, this is added manually into our vector database. So like the similar vector database which retrieved the Munna Bhai MBBS. And then I have defined the retrieval augmented generation chain. So this chain is like written in declarative way. So in declarative way, like a summary summary is being like interpolated using a summary retriever object, which is like and this is synopsis is being interpolated using this synopsis retriever object. So basically what is happening is like whenever you are querying the large language model, so it is gonna like retrieve the text which is related to the movie, and also the like the summary and synopsis text of that movie, and it's gonna interpolate it over here, and then it will like it will input the review. It will input the review from the user, and the like it will tell whether that review is a spoiler or not. So this is interpolated from like vector databases, and this is interpolated from the user input. So this is so simple. So I have like this is RAG chain, and this is a poster of animal movie, and like this movie was successful because of this guy's roaring voice. A soundtrack like was featured in this movie, and that is why the movie was successful. This is worst movie I have ever watched. So then I am querying this large language model that Vijay and Balbir's cousin will chase Abrar, and finally, and basically this is a spoiler, and it is like based on the events in this movie, and basically I want to spoil. I've written it to spoil the user experience. So then it will retrieve the text related to this query. So this is a synopsis retrieval will retrieve this documents, and the summary retriever will retrieve this documents. So like only the document with the highest score will be interpolated over here, and then the query will be invoked. So yeah, then it will like output yes, the given text contains the plot details and reveals the important events and twists in the movie. It gives away the conflicts, relationship, and outcomes of the character, which can spoil the viewing experience of for the someone who hasn't watched the movie. So what is happening is like whenever this query is being invoked into our RAG chain, so it will retrieve this text and this text, and it will try to match it with the query. So if it's like it is matching is very high, then it's gonna say yeah, it's a spoiler. So it is so simple. Now let's do the fun part, like so there is like a tragic love story like Mirza and Saiba. So what I have done is like I have changed the name of like that spoiler of that love story to from Mirza to Saiba. No, so Mirza to Mike Singh, and Saiba to Preeto, just to check whether our model is resistant to perturbations or not. So as it is like written over here, like our chain is quite resistant to perturbations. Like whenever just a malicious actor try to do something malicious, so it will say it's not a spoiler. So it's like a basic test. Now just like I'm still developing the Chrome extension, but to explain how this is working to non-technical audience, let's explain it using some UI. So I have developed a UI, so I will explain it using that too. To explain how the chain is working on the high level before integrating into Chrome extension, I just want to explain that is using the UI so that even non-technical audience can understand it, right? So this is like simple UI. Under the hood, it does all the things which I have written down in like my Jupyter notebook. So it is very simple project, like 1 or 2 days. Yeah, like IMBD animal. Yeah, this is animal movie, and this is the IMBD movie ID, right? So when I press the submit the movie ID, so it will scrap the synopsis and the summary, and it will add into my vector database, right? And whenever like I'm gonna uh, whenever like I am gonna just enter the spoiler which I written it personally. Whenever I write the spoiler into over here and press the submit button, it's gonna say, yeah, it's a spoiler, right? So like it's a very interesting, like, and it's also giving the explanation why it's identifying that as a spoiler. And now just the last movie I watched was Bahubali. Yeah, let's check with the Bahubali IMBD. Right, the Bahubali, the beginning, or now the Bahubali, the conclusion. Yeah, so this is Bahubali, the conclusion. So I enter the IMBD movie ID of Bahubali, the conclusion. This is TT. Yeah, basically this TT based thing. So whenever basically this is movie ID. So whenever like you click on the particular movie, so this is a movie ID. It starts with the TT and press submit movie ID, and it will add this into my vector database, right? So records are added into vector database. And now just yeah, I have written this review that Katappa killed Bahubali on order of Devsena, as Devsena wanted to save Babhalal Dev from Bahubali, so he ordered to kill Katappa. He ordered Katappa to kill Bahubali. It is like being labeled as spoiler, because like this statement reveals a major twist in the plot and it can be considered as spoiler, right? So now let's do something funny. So now I have written this funny fake review, like it is a plot of some Punjabi movie, and I have just changed the character to like Katappa and Bahubali. Like Katappa and Bahubali will do a bhangra in the open fields of Mahushmati, and Bhalal they will play a drum. Then Bahubali will leave for Canada, and there he will marry Devsena. Let's check whether this is spoiler or not. So you can see like this fake review, it doesn't correlate it with the text which have been retrieved, right? It doesn't correlate with the like synopsis and summary of Bahubali. So this is not a spoiler. So like so this is very simple application. And like, so in my next video I'm gonna automate all of this thing. So how my Chrome extension is gonna work is like, whenever like you are just hitting the IMBD movie, right? So at that time it will like copy the this ID, and it will copy the movie ID, and like it will scrap the text like movie reviews, movie synopsis and movie summary, and using that it will block the spoilers, right? Second thing, as per my research, there have been like some models in the market, right? So that models, what they do is like they identify the particular keywords in the spoilers. Like if that particular keyword appear in the spoilers, then it's gonna say that is a spoiler. If it's not there, it's gonna say it's not a spoiler. So that are like basic rule based systems. But my approach is like gonna be, it's gonna be more robust than that. So basically I'm using very strong model like GPT 3.5. But this retrieval augmented generation medium or even small language model can perform very good using using retrieval augmented generation. That's all. Thank you, thanks for watching.